Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. Today, we're going to talk about Chainlink and its valuation against Bitcoin, Ethereum, and USD. So if you guys like the content, please subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and also check out the Telegram channel in the description below. Thank you guys for helping me get to 70,000 subscribers. Let's keep on pushing upwards. So on this channel, we like to look at things in a little bit of a different way, more so in terms of data science, really analyzing historical patterns, not assuming each time is different, but that we're going to ultimately have more or less of the same, and so that we can use these trends to ultimately increase our whatever stack that may be. And so, for instance, this chart is one we've shown before. This is the Link Bitcoin chart, the Link Bitcoin valuation. The primary y-axis, of course, is a logarithmic scale versus time, color-coded by the Link Bitcoin risk metric, right? And we've looked at this extensively in the past. One of the things about Link is that it has never experienced a bull market, and as we've said before, we do not know how it will perform in a bull market. Not only against USD, but against Bitcoin. Now, during a bear market, during the Bitcoin bear market and the Bitcoin accumulation phase, Link increased about 2 orders of magnitude on Bitcoin. However, we do not know how Link will fare when it's going up against a bullish Bitcoin. And so far, it has been losing value. However, it's lost value since the peak that we had in the summer. It's more or less still on the same course that it's always been on. It's just that it has bled down a little bit more this time against Bitcoin than it historically has. Okay, so we're going to look at this chart, but we're going to pull the risk level out and put it on the secondary y-axis. Okay, so that's what this chart is. And, we've talked about before how the red region up here, it tends to be a great selling opportunity of Link back to Bitcoin. If you follow the premium list, we do have the sale still going on. Check out that in the description below. That includes the risk metric stuff. So we did have a sell up here back to Bitcoin at around 150,000 Satoshis. And the nice thing is that I have been buying Link recently. There's been 3 key times over the last few months that I bought it, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes as well. But you can see with respect to Bitcoin, which is not what I base my buys on. I mean, I do want it to be at least below 0.65, but there's the other metric, the Link USD risk metric that I use more so to time entries into Link. You can see it has come back down to a level it has not been at since 2018. So maybe the third quarter of 2018 was the last time the Link risk against Bitcoin went to this level, to give you an idea of how bullish it has been for over the last 2 years. It has not been to this level in over 2 years. Okay, so one of the nice things though is that we can look at this and say, well, it could come down, right? It could continue to come down against Bitcoin. This is always a possibility. I mean, back in the summer of 2018, it came down to around 0.3 or so. So this is always a possibility. However, we're getting into territory where, when you look historically speaking, there have not been that many opportunities to buy it at these risk levels against Bitcoin. It just simply has not existed for very long when it does come around. I mean, maybe a few months here or there, but it's been over 2 years. Now, one thing that I don't know if I've showed this chart on the public channel. Of course, it's on the premium list. But it's the Link USD risk, okay? And this is ultimately what I need to see. I need to see it below 0.5 for me to move into Link, okay? So I want to see it below 0.5, and if it's below 0.5, then I start buying. If it's above 0.5, then I don't buy. And that does not, it doesn't matter what the Link Bitcoin risk is. If the Link USD risk is not below 0.5, I generally just don't buy Chainlink. But when it gets to that level, then it's a key opportunity, in my opinion, to enter the market. And I mean, it can take a lot of patience, especially when you're just watching it go up. But that was why we were making videos on Chainlink since 2019. Back over here, we were talking about Chainlink in preparation for this move. And so I don't know when the next move is going to be. I mean, if it's going to take as long as between this one and this one and this one and this one, it could be a while, frankly speaking. I don't think it'll be nearly that long, though, considering that it appears that things are might be picking up soon if Bitcoin can hold these levels. But I just want people to be aware of this other risk metric that I mainly talk about on the premium list. And if you take out the risk on and put it on the secondary y-axis, you get the white line here. This is where I buy. So the green region is where I would personally buy Link. If it's not in the green region, I just simply don't buy it. And I like to scale up my buys if it falls further and further down. Now, this is our third time entering the 0.5 risk level. So it happened over here when it went below $8. Now the risk levels are dynamic. They adjust over time. So back in a few months ago, we went to below $8. I picked up Link there. It happened again right here. You might say, well, Ben, this is not below 0.5 risk. Well, these are daily closes. If you actually look at hourly candles, you can see we did in fact go back below 0.5 risk. And then we just hit it again yesterday or 2 days ago, depending on what time zone or whatever. But we hit it when it went below 1144. So 1144 was the 0.5 risk level a couple days ago. And at that risk level is where I purchased more Link. Now, unfortunately, it seems like every time we hit the 0.5 risk level, at least for the last few weeks, we immediately bounce off of it. And as much as I would like to believe that the 0.5 risk level will always lend itself as the local bottom for Link USD, I simply also know that's not the case. In the future, we will go back down to the 0.4 risk level. We will go back down to the 0.3 risk level. My point is that I simply do not buy it at all if it's above 0.5 risk. I would prefer to let someone else take that risk and to inflate the price so that if it does come back up into, say, this region, then I can systematically, dynamically DCA the sells, back out, take the profits. And the reason I take the profits is because I like Link so much that I want to make sure I accumulate more of it. We said this over here. We said it here at the top when I was selling and saying, you know what, this has been a great run. We're getting close to the end. I didn't sell all of it. I mean, I sold 2/3. I was out completely out 2/3 of my position by this point. If we had pushed higher, I would have sold most of the remainder. Probably not all of it, because we also have to recognize that the risk level for Link is probably somewhat immature, mainly because it hasn't been around that long. Link has only been around since 2017. We really don't know what it's capable of in a bull market, and because of that, I think it's prudent to exercise some caution when selling Link. So while I do stick to the risk metric, if we were to go up to, say, 0.9 or 1 risk in the short term, I would still hold on to a small portion of the Link just in case it pushes higher than the risk metric would say that it would. Simply because it has not lived through the entirety of a bull market. But for now, we just went down to the 0.5 risk level yesterday or 2 days ago, again, depending on your time zone. But now I think it's time to see what happens, right? We'll see what happens. We'll see if we can push back up. If we go below 0.5 risk, I'll just consider this as completely entering into re-accumulation zone, because so far we've been in re-accumulation zone for Bitcoin for a while, and now we've even dipped below 0.5. But for Link USD, we have only recently been in it 3 times. Here, a couple weeks later, here, we had a wick that went down, and then most recently, a day or two ago, right here. This is the only time, as far as I'm concerned, that I would have accumulated Link, and so if we can get below 0.5, then I think that would allow people to come in with more confidence that they're getting a good deal, because I think a lot of people look at the price and see that it was like $2 earlier this year, and then you're looking at it and you're like, oh, it's like $13. Like, whose bags am I buying at $13? But I think that the longer that we spend at these higher levels, the more confidence there will be, and it ultimately does, to a large extent, depend on what Bitcoin does. We know that, and right now the price of Bitcoin's at 19.2. Bitcoin is very much on track. I would argue that it's ahead of schedule. I know some people would disagree with that, but I would say that Bitcoin is in fact ahead of schedule right now. If it stays like this, if it stays very bullish and can continue some sideways movement for a little while, then I think that Link will start to make a move. Okay, I think that Link will start to make a move. The problem is that as long as Bitcoin volatility remains high, then Link is just simply not going anywhere. And yes, looking at almost a $13 Link is great, right? This is great, but we're not here for a $13 Link, right? We want to see like a $40 Link or a $50 Link. Some of you guys want to see even more than that in the short term. But I would say that, to be patient with Link. It's been on an amazing run over the last few years. This is the fair value regression band we talk about a lot. This is simply fit to quote unquote non-bubble data. And it does not include this data here. So it's only fit up to data to this point and what I consider to be non-bubble data. Take that for what you will. We actually recently made this a indicator that you can get on the premium list again. So if you want to check out the premium list sale that we still have going on, check that out in the description below. You will get access to this indicator. Now, I had a lot of questions from people about this indicator, and so I've actually tweaked it before launching it. I did not change the green band, but there were some people that were, talking about if we could have something that, more encompasses all of this lower data down here, these wicks that you see, and also maybe get a little bit more clarity on some of the upper regions when we're starting to get overheated, like in these regions right here. So what I did, I didn't do a whole lot. I just added on two more regression bands, so it looks like this now. So now we have this low valuation region, which basically encapsulates, except for this one wick, it encapsulates all of the price data more or less. These candles here, all of this movement down here, and it also encapsulates the recent move that is basically, the candle is still essentially around the green band, but we have had a wick down into the blue band. And so the only reason I'm adding this is because once I launch it, I hopefully it will stand the test of time. And so I just simply added on one more layer at the bottom to encapsulate this data, this data, this data, and also maybe the data that we're seeing now. And then I also added on the red band to to see that, okay, if we get above that, then you might want to consider it into short-term bubble territory, right? Wherever it is, if we're above the red band, I would argue short-term bubble for sure. If we're in the green band, we're around the fair value. If we are in the blue band, we're completely undervalued. The one thing I don't like about this indicator is that it assumes that we will have exponential growth against Bitcoin forever, which we know is simply not true, right? We know it's not true. As much as we would like to believe that Link will just continue to go up exponentially against Bitcoin forever, we know that it's not going to happen. And so the trend will change at some point. And if it changes here, right, so be it, right? If it does something like this and then it completely changes its trend, so be it. But in case it doesn't, and in case we do follow this pattern, I want people to be able to use this indicator in TradingView. So again, if you want access to it, check out the premium list in the description below. If you take a look at Link Ether, it is actually pretty undervalued right now still, and we've been this undervalued before. So if you go from the 20-week moving average, we're currently 26% below. We've also seen periods where we've been around 40-something% below. Here we were about 16% below. There have not been many times in history where Link has been this undervalued against Ethereum. And by the way, when I talk about undervaluation, this is compared to a fairly bullish valuation of Link against Ether, because it's essentially saying that, okay, since existence, more or less, Link has been above the 20-week moving average, the 20-week SMA, and the 21-week EMA since inception, except for a few key times. And so this is what I want to outline, is that we are very undervalued right now. I don't know how low we're going to go. That's a fool's game, I think, trying to time the exact bottom. But if you look at it here on a daily time frame, maybe we'll put in the bottom soon. It looks like we've started to come back up a little bit. However, we also know that this necessarily doesn't mean anything, especially if Bitcoin were to all of a sudden go back down to 17K or something in the short term, then we would expect Link to also come back down as well. Because as long as Bitcoin volatility remains high, the rest of the market is going to kind of be at its bidding, in a sense, right? If Bitcoin we know that Bitcoin runs the roost, right? It simply runs the roost. So we'll keep an eye on things. Remember, if you guys like the content, subscribe to the channel. Give the video a thumbs up. Also, check out the Telegram channel in the description below. We have over 10,000 people in the Telegram room. We could always use more linked Marines. And then also check out the premium list again if you guys want access to the premium content. Hopefully this video has been useful to you. And subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.